Hey everyone, well it's part 3 of the Font Police, and I thought we would continue talking about some do's and don'ts and some advice and some ways that you can tighten up your typography. So got a lot of stuff to cover, so let's just jump in this. In no particular order, by the way. Let's talk the first thing about hyphens. The first example here across the top is your typical hyphen, which is used for hyphenating words such as, let's say, well-crafted. Now, the other hyphen that you can use, it's not even a hyphen, here in the middle, it's called an in dash. En, N is in Nancy. In dashes are used for separating numbers, like pages 25 to 36. An in dash on a Mac is it's option hyphen to get that. And down below we have an M dash, EM, M is in Mary. M dashes are used for separating thoughts in a paragraph. Sometimes they can take the place of parentheses or a semicolon, and this is option shift hyphen. So don't get those confused. Oh, by the way, N dash, good way to remember this, N dash for here, En, is the width of the capital letter N in the font, and the M dash is the width of the letter M as in Mary. So that's the way to remember that one. Double spaces after a period. Watch out for these, as you'll see in the top. Two ways that this happens is, one, if you were my age and you learned how to type on a typewriter, you were taught to hit the space bar twice after you hit a period. That is no longer the case today. And also the other way that happens is sometimes when you import copy from Word into Quark or InDesign, it automatically throws in two spaces. I don't know, it's probably just a fluke from going from one program to the other. But it's something that's noticeable. I notice it right off the bat. If I'm looking at a brochure or something and I see the two spaces afterwards, I know that's a mistake. So make sure you go back in there and get rid of those extra spaces. If you have a lot of them, what you can do is use the bind and replace option in Quark or InDesign. When a box will come up and it'll say find, and you just put your cursor in there, hit space, and then put your cursor in the replace with. Did I say that right? No, that's backwards. In the find, hit it twice with a double space, and in the replace, just hit it once. So then it will go through and find all the double spaces that you told it to find and replace it with the single. And they'll clear that up. Stacked copy. Don't do it. It's just hard to read. People don't respond to it. We've read left to right our entire lives, and people just don't like doing that. And if you pick up any magazine, any ad, any brochure, you'll never find this, and it's for a good reason. So if that's in your portfolio, take it out, because they'll notice that. All caps. All caps, if you have a very short headline, like, big sale or going out of business or something, all caps is fine. But once you get into a longer sentence or a lot of words, all caps is very difficult to read, mostly because they're so chunky and they don't end up being individual letters. They just end up being blocks of words, and that's what your eye sees, is just blocks. And you want it to be as easily readable as possible for the viewer. So as you can see here, this is the same thing in just regular type in lowercase. Even if it was initial cap. Initial cap means the first letter is capitalized. So if it's a lot of copy, don't use all caps. Fractions. Do not type it like this. That's hard to read, and especially if it's small copy, like in a body copy, and you try to type 2.5 like that, it's very difficult to read. you want to do it like this. Now the way you do it like this, in Quark there is an option. If you highlight the 1/2, if you highlight it up in Quark, there's a place called make fraction. It'll take any font and turn it into a fraction. Surprisingly, InDesign doesn't really have that. With open typeface fonts, it does. It's kind of buried. It's in the, I think it's in the character. If you go to character option, and then it'll have like open type, and then below that it'll have make fractions. There is a, but that, like I said, it's only with open type fonts. And there's also a third-party vendor who sells one. They have a kind of a cheaper free version, which it works okay. But just, if you can, don't do this, but do this. Lastly, using two very expressive fonts in a row, like this here. This is kind of an extreme example. The whole point of using something very flashy or expressive is to get the attention. But if you use two flashy fonts in a row, you're kind of killing the whole idea of it, and they sort of cancel each other out. So if you replace one of them with what you might call a regular font, a more mainstream font, such as here. Here, I'll just hold these up. I should have prepared better for this, huh? You can see here, it really makes this, which is just the top font, stand out quite a bit, and down here they just cancel each other out. So if you're going to use anything that's really loud, you know, a font or a graphic or a photo, make sure it's the only one in your piece, because if you start adding other big loud fonts or images in there, they're just going to cancel each other out and completely defeat the purpose of what you put in there. Anyway, that's some more tips and hints there. I'm going to try to collect some more and come up with a number 4 for this series, and I hope this helps. Thanks.